and welcome to the second episode of In the Seat with His Excellency Dr. Muhammad Irfaan Ali, President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. I'm your host, Fariza Hanif. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the achievements of the government in 2024 and plans ahead for 2025. And joining me in this discussion is Marcia Ho from the Office of the Prime Minister, Marcel Fowler from the Starboard News, Kiana Wilberg from the Ghana Standard, and Vishani Raghavir from the Newsroom. Mr. President, thank you again for joining us for this significant episode as we wrap up 2024. I'll start things off with the first question. Thank you, Mr. President. Can you expound on the major achievements for your government in 2024? And can you say what will resonate most with voters as we head into the 2025 election cycle?
I would say I would begin by saying our accomplishment is based on the manifesto. That is the plan we went to the electorate with in 2020. And I'm very pleased to report that we have almost completed our manifesto. Every single commitment we made in the manifesto has been realized, and we are now working on bonus achievements. So if you look at the transformation that is taking place, and I give this example recently, when we speak about infrastructure when we talk about transformation, I like to use the word infrastructure and then look at the component of infrastructure. First, we have the physical infrastructure, which is the roads, the streets, the improvement of the roadways, the streets, the expansion of farm-to-market access road that opens up new lands for agriculture, that opens up new lands for productivity. Because whatever we invest in from an infrastructure perspective must lead to the opening up of opportunities, the creation of new growth areas and growth poles, enhancing productivity, building productivity. That's an important aspect of what development is and what investment in infrastructure is. So first we have that physical infrastructure, which people can see all around the country, the drainage and irrigation system, the new canals, the new pumps to help in all the rains we've had in the city. This last 2 weeks, many people commented on a marked improvement in the way the water was drained off, and that is because of the investments we have made. So you have that physical infrastructure. That also includes healthcare, what we are doing to give world-class healthcare, building new hospitals, expanding facilities, improving facility, investing in the aspects that people don't see, but it's critical, and that is training of doctors, training of nurses, thousands of nurses being trained, improving their welfare and well-being, the development of the health management information system, the patient management information system, which is an important part of the modernization and digitization of the economy. So the first infrastructure plan is that physical infrastructure that constitutes the buildings, the roads, the drainage system. And then you have the second plan, which is very, very important, and that is our competitiveness. How are we investing in an infrastructure, an ecosystem to build the competitiveness of our country? And this is key because as we develop, as we open up new manufacturing and industrial opportunity, our competitiveness is key and critical. So there are various aspects to our competitiveness that are key. One is ensuring that we have the right skill set, the right human resource capacity and capability, investing in that asset. Two is how do we ensure that the cost of energy is competitive when compared to energy costs across the world. And now, with the Gas to Shore project coming closer to an end, the cost of energy will come down by half. So building out that infrastructure to support the reduction in the cost of energy is a key part of building our competitiveness. Other aspects of our competitiveness include our port facilities, the way in which the effectiveness and efficiency in which the transport and logistics system is. How are we ensuring that our link, the economic link and the model we are building to connect northern Brazil to Guyana, how that enhances our competitiveness, how that positions our country. So the investment in agriculture also, backward and forward linkages in the corn and soya project, all of these projects, becoming self-sustainable, is all aimed at improving our competitiveness, the ecosystem surrounding our competitiveness, investing in technology to support the ease of doing business, greater efficiency in government services. I mean, if you look at a lot of public comments, people are making a lot of positive comments at GRA, for example, and the way in which GRA is delivering service, the efficiency,
Yeah.
and that is what we want throughout government. So the other link of this infrastructure is how do we ensure competitiveness through investment. If you look at the airport and the difficulties we are having there now in terms of one, optimizing the system, and two, building out for greater capacity. The third aspect is human capital, the infrastructure to support human capital. And that is the National Skills Training Center that we're building in Berbice, world class, that will not only be training Guyanese, but persons from around the world in fabrication, in deep sea drilling, exploration. Then we have the Tourism and Hospitality Institute that we're also building there that will train more than 6,000 persons to improve the competitiveness of our offerings at the service and hospitality sector industry level, the new hotels that are coming on stream. I mentioned the nursing schools, the nearshore program for persons, young people, who want to study with a guaranteed job after they've completed the studies. That is the Guyana Canada. Now CARICOM has adopted an initiative as a CARICOM initiative. That offers tremendous opportunity. Our greatest difficulty now is finding persons to sign up because we have been advertising. We have space for about 1,000 more persons, and in 3 weeks we have to get 500 persons. Otherwise, we're going to lose, some amount of funding on this. So the opportunities are there, building in the human resource capacity and capability, strengthening that human resource asset, strengthening and building out secondary schools so that we'll have universal secondary education, making University of Education, the education at University of Guyana free of cost. All of this is aimed at creating a human capital that is highly skilled, highly trained, and highly integrated in the economy that we are building. The next plank is digitization. How are we going to ensure that we are building a Guyana that is competitive, a Guyana that is relevant, and a Guyana that fits into that 2030 and beyond plan, which is how do we bridge the gap now between us and the rest of the world. And digitization and investment in technology, investment in ICT is a key aspect of bridging that gap. And that is why we are now working on the digitized economy, the digital economy, investing in the digital economy, ensuring that the digital economy reduce the time lag between us and the rest of the world. When you talk about improving government services, government efficiency, bringing more transparency and accountability in the system, bringing more redundancy in the system, is digitization that will help us to do that. The investment in ICT and ICT platform, telemedicine. We are now one of the major players in telemedicine. In January, we want to launch the first digital school where you'll have every student in Guyana and CARICOM can register in the Guyana Digital School, and you can have your full education from primary to secondary school. Everything will be on, it's just like a normal school, but you can access it from anywhere, and the best teachers will be available for all the population. So we had a demonstration with a number of heads in CARICOM when they were here, and it's a concept that is fully embraced in the region. Then you have, after digitization, you have an important aspect that sometimes people don't understand the value. The infrastructure for economic diversification. What is a new economy? What will a new economy look like? The investment we're going to make in tourism, to make tourism an important plank of the future of Guyana. The entire hospitality and services industry, the agriculture, agro-processing, transport and logistics, with the road connecting to northern Brazil and also to the deepwater port, gas coming on stream, the new gas project. All of these things would create a new line of opportunities. So the economic diversification is key to this infrastructure plan that leads to holistic transformation. And then you have culture, the role of culture, the role of art, the role of our differentiated product, which makes us richer. and that is our diversity. How we bring that into the equation to be a part of this transformation and to be a part of our enhanced competitiveness. So that is why we're looking at investment in the arts, investment in creating talent in our young people. So these are key elements in a nutshell of how this transformation is taking place. Of course, we can go in depth in so many aspects. When you look at bauxite and the increased production that we're looking at for bauxite, but the opportunities that are ahead of us with gas coming on stream, with the reserve we have, and with Suriname, how do we combine? And this is what we have to look at, the partnership. How do we build a competitiveness if we have enough capacity in the reserve of Guyana and Suriname to now move to higher level of processing, higher value products, and aluminum plant and these things. So those are the things that are part of this transformative visionary approach to taking Guyana forward.
Thank you for that, Mr. President. And keeping on the vein of transformation and infrastructure, I'll invite Kiana Wilberg to ask the next question.
Thank you, Farisa. Mr. President,
December 19th marked 5 years since Guyana became an oil-producing nation. Can you speak to two critical measures that have been implemented to ensure this world-class resource is kept free from the clutches of corruption?
So I can give you a number of initiatives that we have embraced. But look at the Natural Resource Fund that was established. Now, you would recall that the Natural Resource Fund that was originally passed was passed at a time when a no confidence motion would have already been successful, and and it was illegitimate. We have always argued that that bill did not satisfy the criteria of transparency, and the bill itself had severe weaknesses in the governance aspect of it, in the accountability aspect, and also in the implementation. First of all, from the government perspective, it rested all the power, tremendous power in the hands of the minister. The minister had all the power to decide how much is withdrawn, what it can be used for. There was no parliamentary oversight. There was no role for the parliament. The formula to decide on how much of the money goes to the Natural Resource Fund was very complex. There was no public process through which the general population would be aware of what is happening. And then there was no declaration of the funds in that bill. And we saw what would have occurred earlier when the 80 million bonus was signed. The Minister of Finance first denied that there was anything like an $18 million bonus. Then subsequently after that, he said, yes, it was, there was a bonus, but it was never paid into the consolidated fund. And then he said it was a gift. Now, all of those things, if you look at the new bill that was passed, the new bill took away these powers from the minister, rested in an independent board. The board, the board advises, the board makes the decisions. The Minister of Finance has 30 days to publicly gazette every inflow, all the inflow from the sector into the fund. If you don't do it, there's compulsory jail term. After that, the process of extracting money from the Natural Resource Fund, the Parliament was brought in, so there's parliamentary oversight now, the opposition and everybody. That money has to be budgeted for, goes through the budget process. It has to then go through the parliamentary approval and get an appropriation, form part of the appropriation. After that, it is then audited by the Auditor General, the use of the funds, and then the Public Accounts Committee would also have, they would come in after the Auditor General report would have been filed. So the entire system of transparency and accountability was built into the NRF, which was not there before. The formula in understanding, for the public to understand how much money is going where, was simplified. The ordinary person can understand how the formula works. So it is simplifying things in an open and transparent way, making the whole process built on accountability and transparency. So that alone, when you look at what we did there, taking away all the discretionary powers that was rested in the bosom of the government, the board and then the parliament and parliamentary oversight and the parliamentary approval process. That that is the gold standard in terms of transparency and accountability. The other thing is that we promised that we would review the existing PSA, and no future PSA would have the same flaws or the same um, you know the weight of benefit to um, the developer like the old PSA. And we did that. So we had a consultation. The new PSA came into effect, and we said this is the PSA now that will govern all future development. So those are things that we committed to that we were able to complete.
Mr. President, Kiana reminded you about December 19th. I want us to talk about December 21st, 2018, 6 years ago. I know confidence motion was passed in the National Assembly. I want to know what concrete lessons has your administration drawn from that experience, and how do you intend to apply them to the upcoming electoral campaign?
Well, I don't think that it's lessons that the PP Civic would have learned. The PP Civic has always been a party that uphold the Constitution. We believe in the rule of law. If it was the other way around, you could have been guaranteed that 3 months after you would have had elections. 3 months after you would have had elections. We had a situation after 2018 when $120 billion was expended without any budget, when the parliament, that is after the no confidence motion. Can you imagine if the People's Progressive Party Civic would have done that? What would have been the cry? That went without any public outcry by some of the players who are the whistling birds of transparency. So for us, we see this as a lesson for the nation, understanding who you're dealing with, understanding who were the persons in power, the AP and UFC. And it's a stark reminder of their philosophy and ideology, one in which the 28 years of dictatorship came back right into real life with the way in which they behave, not accepting the no confidence motion. We spent over 2.5 years getting a new government, getting to elections, and then 5 months after the election to get the government that won the elections sworn in. So it is a reminder to Guyana as to how fragile our democracy can be when you have the wrong people in charge. It's a reminder to Guyana about those persons who disregarded the Constitution, disregarded the rule of law. And we have a collective responsibility as a people and as a nation to embrace a collective will of securing our democracy, securing the rule of law. And we are very grateful that Guyanese stood up in the 5 months and ensure that our democracy, the voice of the people in the rule of law was not further eroded in that 5 months when the same AP and UFC tried to steal the elections. So this is something that I think is a lesson for all of us. It's a reminder of who the players were. Those who defended the mathematical formula that they proposed, which is 32 is more than 33. Those who found all type of hurdles to avoid going to the elections when the Constitution made it very clear what should have occurred after the passing of the no confidence motion.
And as we're still on the topic of elections, Mr. President, are there any serious concerns about the potential sources of funding for your political opponents? And what steps can you take to ensure transparency and fairness in the campaign financing?
Well, I know that in the public domain there have been a lot of concerns about the conflict of interest that exists with one political party having a leader who is strongly aligned as the legal partner um, to Exxon. And I saw a statement from Exxon that they are not in any way, shape, or form going to support or finance any political entity or political party. So what I would say is that we all have to be vigilant. We all have to understand who the players are. But I believe that for us, we are focused on winning the elections. We are focused on ensuring that our systems are in place, focused to ensure that the laws are adhered to, focused to ensure that the constitutional provisions are adhered to. And once the laws and the constitutional provisions are adhered to, we are sure that with the type of work we've done over the last 4+ years, with the type of investment we have made in the communities and in the lives of Guyanese, we are very confident that the Guyanese are going to support us overwhelmingly in the next elections. Last time we have implemented a series of measures, especially against the heavy equipment, public transportation. We have seen some amount of improvement. Thousands of road users would have been charged. We are moving now into a more electronic system, electronic ticketing system. We have also ramped up education. We're investing in these speed warners and so on. We're now exploring the use of governors. Governors is a device that you install in public transportation and trucks that ensure they don't exceed a certain speed. So the vehicle, when you install these devices, cannot exceed those speed limits. So we're exploring the use of governors and to see what additional changes in the legislation will be required for the use of the governors. So public education, we have just awarded, we have just given a no objection for a contract to have a consultancy in place that would enhance public education, build public trust and public awareness on the use, proper road use, but also on building a type of literacy and a type of accountability in the way in which persons use the road. So this continues to be an important issue. There has been some improvement from the first half of the year, but I would say it is still a major challenge for us. Also, the building out of infrastructure, the opening up of new roads. We have seen the equipment that are on the ground, the damage that can be caused because of the speed of infrastructure. So we have to manage within that framework, manage within that ecosystem. So the building out of new roads and opening up of new roadways. If you look at the road from Crane to the bridge, that has really, I would say, reduced the propensity or reduce the risk of accidents substantially because of the way the traffic is now diverted and the sheer volume of traffic that is on one carriageway. So those are things that will help. But public education, also holding all the stakeholders accountable, not only the police, but holding road users accountable too. And that is why we're now going to use the body cam. We're investing in body cams and the legislation in terms of the use of and the importance of body cam evidence when persons are being charged, so that it builds accountability, it builds transparency. Because people say, people give bribe on the road, but it's two ways: the person who is giving and the person who is receiving. So those are things that we must address too in the whole ecosystem, and in building greater confidence in the way the road is used, and also the way in which the entire system works together to ensure safety.
I just wanted to follow up on a couple of things you mentioned. It ties into a question I had about the Ghana police force. From time to time, the force comes in for criticism. Citizens often express a lack of confidence in the Ghana police force. How are you dealing with that?
Well, this has been a situation that, over the years, where persons. And if you look at what were some of the issues, first of all, the environment in which the police stations would have delivered service. If you went to some police stations, you're afraid even to approach the station because of the condition of the building, because of the stench that comes out of the building, because of the customer relation service. So people were even afraid to make reports. What we have seen over the last number of years, at least since 2020, is that more and more citizens are making reports. The public trust in approaching police stations would have changed, and that is because of the investment we are making. We said we are not only looking at salaries, but we are looking at the welfare, the infrastructure, the working condition under which police operate. And if you look at all the different facilities, the new stations, you will see that it is more customer oriented. It is more service oriented. So that was an important part. How do we change that stigma that is attached with going to the police station? Investing in more soft skill training for police officers. We have invested a lot in soft skills training, offering educational opportunity to police officers and also for the police ranks. It's not only the officers. Today we have most of the police men and women are studying something. They're in the Gold Scholarship Program, they're at UG. So all of this improves their own confidence, their own outlook at life. So from that angle, there has been tremendous improvement. But if you look at statistically what is there, if you look at the crime detection rate, it is the best. If you look at the crime detection rate in the region, it is the best. And if you look at the crime solving ratio, so it's not only the crime, you have to look at what percentage of the crime you're solving. You will see that there is tremendous improvement in the crime solving ratio. One of the areas that there is tremendous weakness is in the prosecution. And the police prosecutors, you know, there was a lot of talk about the inefficiency and the lack of training. We've invested heavily. We have a program now with Nations University and other international university where we're investing in the training of the men and women in the Guyana police force for prosecution, the training of prosecutors. And then you can have the best prosecutor, but the next arm of government was work efficiently too, and that is the judiciary. And you would have heard about the public comments and about some of the changes and improvement that is needed at the judiciary also. So this is a collective effort that requires the investment from the executive, the work of the police force, the strengthening of the prosecution arm, and also the effective and efficient functioning of the judiciary, right? And the predictability of the judiciary in decision making. Those are key things that adds up to confidence. You see, most times when someone gets off from something that seems glaring to the public, they blame the police. They see the police as the center of it, but they don't understand that it goes through a judiciary. And if the judiciary make a ruling, you know, so you have to ensure everything, all aspects work in an integrated way, and that the efficiency and development of all the arms of government occurs in a simultaneous way. And that is why we're adding technology to enhance public confidence and enhance transparency and accountability. So I would say those are some, but we also have to look at new challenges that are ahead of us. How do we deal with AI? How do we deal with digital crimes? How do we deal with the more sophisticated criminals that will use technology that will operate within our country? So we are now investing in that, investing in the infrastructure that will support good policing. Take the forensic lab, for example. We are now investing in the forensic lab, not to have the best lab in Guyana, but the best lab in the region. And that we have brought in the former head of the Criminal Bureau of Investigation of India, who was in charge of the forensic lab there, to come in with a team, and they're working to make our forensic lab first class. So this is an important part of crime fighting and so on. Then we have moved from safe city to safe country. You know, you see all of these, we are rolling out a safe country. If you look at the number of videos, CCTV videos that is available online now of different criminal activity, it was never there before. So 5 years ago, half of the population didn't know this happened because there was no video or nothing like that to show. Today, everybody is aware because there's a video to show everything. So these are also helping. The more publicity around the issue, the more aware the population gets. So sometimes it's a product of the publicity that surrounds the subject also.
Okay, I invite now Marcel Fowler to ask her question.
Last time we were here, I asked about the cash grant, and you were confident that public servants and pensioners would get theirs by the end of November. That I would get mine by Christmas. Christmas is next week. The public servants haven't gotten theirs at the end of November, and it doesn't seem as if I'm getting mine for Christmas. Could you provide an update on what has been the challenges? And if you can give some statistics on where the current grant is, which regions have gotten, which hasn't, anything.
So, you know, we try to ensure that transparency is built into every aspect of this, which require the banking system, the Auditor General Office, the Ministry of Finance, the regions, everything to work in a coordinated manner. The public servants and pensioners would definitely get their checks. Many pensions would have already received in some of the regions. So the public servants, their checks will definitely come. So the registration process is ongoing for Region 4 at the moment. So let me explain to you. Region 9, for example, is almost completed. Every person in Region 9 would have received their received a check. Just a few checks are outstanding. Now, let me tell you the additional complication. Now, checks ensure there's transparency, another layer of transparency. But checks also brings a bureaucracy with it. Because when you go to Crowdar in Region 9, the people don't have any access to banking. So you give them their checks in Crowdar, how do they get the cash? So we then had to go and work with the commercial banks, get a security infrastructure so that they could have cashed their checks in the village themselves. So that is Region 9. So that's an added layer. In Region 1 and 8, they're working right now. As I speak to you, they're working right now on, they have already captured the registrants, and the checks are being paid out in Region 1 and 8. Region 4, they're capturing of persons. Have you registered as yet? Right, so the capturing of persons in Region 4 is ongoing, and we are hoping that once there's enough data in the system, that we'll start paying out the checks also for Region 4. Before the end of the year, some of those checks will start to be paid out. As I said, the public servants and the pensioners, those are already, the database is there, that will already be in the system. We've also announced a number of other benefits that the system has to process, including the almost 26,000 persons on the disability register, persons living with disability, that now have to get that $35,000 check. So all of those things are being processed. So I would say that the building out the process, having the app in place, having the entire flow chart of what has to be done would have taken an additional time, but additional time that was worth it, because it's additional time that allowed for the verification, the means of verification, and the built transparency that we wanted in the system.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
It's on the same.
Yeah, go ahead.
But you haven't really said. I'm asking really, do you know if public servants and pensioners would get theirs before the end of the year?
The pensioners and public servants, their check will be cut in the system before the end of the year. So let me explain to you what happens. When you collect the in Region 9, you collect the data for everyone. Everyone will go and register, which may include pensioners, include public servants. The system that is built then differentiate, because otherwise it takes out the duplication, any potential duplication, so that one person would not be paid as a public servant and receive during the registration. So that's another process that has to take place. So So yes, they will get their check, but I was just explaining to you the additional layers that became necessary.
Thank you, Mr. President. Marcia Hope, you may ask your question.
Mr. President, earlier you spoke about reducing the power of the government as well. You spoke about reducing the power of the government and reducing the power in terms of oversight of resources.
No, not at all. I said that the Natural Resource Fund bill that was passed had excessive power in the hands of the minister in the forest bill. The new bill sought to remove that power from the hands of the minister. I'm not speaking about the general.
There's heavy parliamentary oversight in ensuring that that happens. Can you address those calls in relation to the management of our oil revenues as well as our natural resources?
Yeah, well, first of all, I addressed it in the initial question because I outlined the process through which revenue from the Natural Resource Fund is used, the process through which it gets into the budget, the process through which it gets into the consolidated fund, the process through which the parliamentary oversight is applied, the process through which is approved in the parliament and becomes part of the appropriation bill, and the process after that through which it is audited for the intended purpose that it was budgeted for, and then of course the role of the Public Accounts Committee after that. But I just want to, you'll come back to your follow-up. I just want, because Marcel was asking me, I'm a person who like to be held responsible for everything I say. And one of the things you also mentioned in the last interview was Gaisuku. Just to let you know, I don't shy away from issue, as challenging as they may be. I've read the right act to the management of Gaisuku. I've let them understand that we are very dissatisfied with the performance, notwithstanding the difficulties that we know they have, and that is the condition of the field, which is more or less fixed now, but the downtime in the factory. The downtime in the factory. So whilst we invested heavily on preparing the fields and having the canes in the field, the focus on the factories and that were left abandoned and left shut down for a long time. The maintenance of these factories was non-existent. So the breakdown and the shutdown time in factories would have impacted the production tremendously. We sat down with them. They brought together an investment plan that is needed to keep the factory working, to keep the factory efficient. We have supported that investment plan. So I made it very clear that if the target for 2025, the first crop target and the second crop target, if the target is not achieved, we are also bringing in a technical support to help them. But if those targets are not achieved, then heads will roll. If those targets are not achieved, heads will roll. Similarly with GPL. You know, we have invested, you know, many people are speaking about the second power ship. But the second power ship is not connected as yet, and we're not paying for any power as yet from the second power ship because the transmission line has to be in place. That transmission line, they're working on that transmission line now so that it can be connected to the second power ship, because we could not have used the existing transmission system. I said before with GPL that we inherited in 2020 a scenario where no investments were made on the transmission and distribution line. So you can see the work going on now to bring that heavy-duty transmission line, interlink it with the control center so that the power can be taken off safely and reliably from the ship and distributed throughout the system. Notwithstanding that, I've made it very clear to the management of GPL that heads will roll there too. That if we don't see with these investments marked improvement by the end of the first quarter, end of January, we'll start looking for the type of improvements that I expect out of GPL, then heads will roll. We are also examining, not examining, we are working now on securing the technical expertise that can help in the management of GPL, whether it means to have a management contract, a management support contract, though we are examining that right now. Because I will tell you, like every Guyanese, and I understand the frustration, we are investing to make it better, and we will hold accountable the persons who ought to ensure the system work and work better.
Thank you, Mr. President. Do you have any follow-up to that, Marcel?
Please. Sorry, Marcia.
Politically diverse nation like Guyana, fostering unity remains a critical challenge. What strides has your administration made in promoting inclusivity and reducing division?
Well, let me say, I believe we have made tremendous strides. You know, when you look at some of the communities across this country, that historically, one would say PPP civic leaders or a PPP government would not go into these communities, or you know, it was the resistance. I was not going because we go into every community, but the resistance, that resistance is completely gone. And these are areas that one would have thought in the past were so resistant that they would not even allow it. So I've seen tremendous changes, and it's going to be reflected in the votes in 2025. Let me tell you, very frankly, it's going to be reflected huge. We're going to win the elections with a huge margin, and that is not being egotistical in any way. That is being honest. And I'm very humbled by this, because I'm humbled with the love and support that the people across every community is giving us, giving the People's Progressive Party Civic. They're believing now, and they're seeing for themselves the changes that is taking place in the community. People can't be easily fooled or misled anymore. They're seeing for themselves the changes that is taking place within the community itself, the opportunities that are coming their way. So I believe that we just have to stay focused, invest in the people, put the people first, invest in the human capital development of every citizen. We launch a program where we say anybody, any Guyanese who want to become a nurse with a basic qualification, just come in, we'll pay for your training, we'll give you almost a full salary while you're being trained, a stipend of, there's more than a stipend, and we'll guarantee you employment where you're finished. The Hospitality Institute, right? All the benefits that we give across the board, 18 years and above. So the historical approach of division by the opposition, it has very little weight today. I think there's a tremendous misunderstanding or underestimation by the political opposition as to the gains we have made in bringing this country together. There's a tremendous underestimation as to the capacity of the population today to reason things for themselves, to be analytical in their own way, and to make decisions that are beyond race, beyond the way you look, beyond which community you're from. You know, when we started, when I was in Leopold Street, Marcel, you will recall this, and I brought those young people together, and I told them, you guys come, we'll provide the training. Many people thought, oh, this is a farcical thing. Today, those young persons went through the training, they started with block making, they're building homes now. They're building homes. They have a whole company called Leopold Incorporated, right? So that is the type of changes that is taking place, you know. Look, we are now sourcing for persons to be on a nearshoring program, right? So the indicator is all over there. When you go to all these community facilities that is being built, when you go to the seawall, and see Guyanese of all walks of life all integrating, you know, it is truly an amazing feeling for me, because I believe my greatest aspiration is for a united and prosperous Guyana, in which all our people can live in a space of unity, a space of shared love, shared value, in which all of us uphold the provisions of the Constitution and democracy.
Thank you, Mr. President. And as we seek to wrap up the program, I'll take the final 3 questions from Vishani, Kiana, and Marcel. So Vishani, please go ahead.
Mr. President, I also wanted to take you briefly. The year 2025 is the year that CARICOM set itself to a goal.
The beautiful Paris. There is nowhere else in the region that you can have the song of Paris closing your day off or welcoming the evening in or the night in. And these are things we take for granted. There's a therapeutic value of these things that we take for granted, planting of trees, being among trees. And I think one of the things that we as Guyanese must do is to spend more time uh, enjoying the therapeutic value of the beautiful nature and the beautiful country and environment we've been blessed with. Please.
Mr. President, I want to talk about the 25 by 2025 agriculture goal that Guyana is, of course, leading in CARICOM. I'd like to know if we're on track to achieve that, but also if you can talk about the trade barriers that you've worked to dismantle. Has the region been able to really remove those barriers, and how are you dealing with trade disruptions across the region, the issue in Trinidad with its port being a major one right now?
You have asked some very important questions, very weighty questions. Let's start with the issue of 25 by 2025. I would say that every single prime minister, every single country in the region has embraced this strategy and plan with full determination. But they went beyond. They made the financial resources available. They're investing heavily. But the recent damage by Hurricane Beryl and other tropical storms in the region has definitely impacted our 25 by 2025 plans. You're talking about the entire spice cultivation, entire banana cultivation, all dismantled in Barbados. The fisher folk lost almost all their assets. So the impact that would have had, and the issue of insurance continue to be a major issue for our farmers and so on in the region. That has definitely set us back. Unfortunately for us, although we went through two major floods, we are way ahead of the plan. By next year, we will be fully self-sufficient in corn and soya. We will have full sufficiency in black eye and red beans to the extent that we'll be exporting. And by 2027, we'll be exporting, 2026, end of 2026, we'll be exporting corn and soya out of the region. With the integration of northern Brazil into the regional food hub, I think we have an opportunity to bring down the cost of food in the region. So that is something that we're working with, how we can support. Because as you know, imported inflation is having a tremendous effect on many countries here. Look at shipping. A businessman, the private sector, let's say a business person, bringing a container out of Panama and in transiting in Trinidad would have never anticipated a strike in Trinidad that has a delay of his container for 3 months now, or containers left in Jamaica for transshipment for 3 months. That's demurrage costs, they have spoilage. So all of these things, I would say the shipping and logistics line in the region is a major problem. Is a major problem. The inefficiency in that is immense. But now, for Guyana, our great difficulty is our reliance on transshipment. And our reliance on transshipment is because of two primary reasons. We don't have a deep water port. The Demerara bar is inefficient, unreliable. It has a 7-meter draft at the top of the tide. You need at least a 7-8 meter draft at the bottom of the tide so you can have 24-hour use. So the channel can't allow 24-hour use. We don't have enough space for containerized cargo. And this is an issue the private sector is facing. So we're working on that now. Soon we'll have a consortium working with the Guyana Shippers Association to come up with a plan as to how we can keep the draft at 7 meter at least at the bottom of the tide so you can have 24-hour use of the channel and to maintain that channel. So soon, I think before mid-January, by budget, we should have a strong form proposal in place that will do that for us. So we have to also build up our efficiency and enhance the private sector also has to be more efficient in the development. The new ports are developing. And this also points to the need because by the time we integrate that road with northern Brazil, and you will definitely need that deepwater harbor sooner than later. So we are working on that new phase of investment, a new phase of infrastructure that is critical to deal with this. On this issue of barriers, I am somewhat disappointed at the pace at which some of the countries are moving in the removal of barriers. Sometimes, I know many other prime ministers have expressed great disappointment. Um, but we have had successes too. I mean, we have our milk now in Barbados. I know we're working now to have our ice cream in different countries. Whilst there are challenges, we still have major challenges with Trinidad, and many of it is bureaucratic. All these layers of bureaucracy and archaic laws that we must address. And I must say I've raised it with Prime Minister Rowley as a region too. And he expressed also a desire to have it done, but sometimes a lot of things is locked up in the bureaucracy. And the system is the system try to collide with change. You know, there's, I want to put it this way, the system inhibits these changes that are essential and necessary to achieve the targets that we have to achieve.
Thank you, Mr. President. Martha.
Just quickly, I have a follow-up to the cash grant, but a substantive question and separate. Is there going to be another cash grant payout next year? And the substantive question is on sports. There have been a lot of unanswered questions about the Global Super League cricket tournament. Did government did government input any money into that tournament or any kind of cash or kind into it? And if so, what is it, and who are the principals of the company that runs the Global Super League?
I made it very clear that sport must be an important plank of our tourism product. It must be an important plank of our diversification plan. Sports all over the world. If you look at what is happening in Saudi Arabia, if you look at what is happening in UAE, in Qatar, in India, sports is an important part of the whole industry itself. When you look at the wealth the CPL has been able to create, so it became important for us to build an international event that will fill the hotel rooms. We're building all of these hotels. Who's going to fill it? What is going to fill it? If we don't build these events and build these important international standard events, then how are we going to support these industries? So the government must create an enabling environment. The government must support an enabling environment. The government must pursue policies that stimulate investment in these type of events, and that is what we did. We created an ecosystem. We're stimulating and encouraging investments. We support, of course, the government must support. We haven't put any cash into it, but in kind support. We have to have a stadium. We have to have facility. We have to have security. We have to have roadways. We have to have these things to support a major event like that. Any international event, any government must have these facilities, must invest in these facilities. If we are going to build something, we have to build something we are proud of. We have to build something that is of international standard. And I'm hoping that the investment can go further, can build out a sports infrastructure with new stadiums, world-class facility that will bring more events to Guyana. That is my aim. I want to see the Guyana motor racing, and I told them, come up with a plan as to how we can bring international racing here, because it brings traffic into the country. My concern is how do we invest in opportunity? How do we bring traffic into the country? That brings me to your second question on the grant. We must not look as and I need the media to help me with this. This is not a cash grant that one must look at it as just money being distributed or grant being distributed. This is an investment we are making in the human capital. This is an investment we are making in the human capital so that they can take this resource now and they can, you can come together as families, you can come together, community, and create wealth. How do you use this as an investment platform to grow your net income, to grow your network, to create new wealth, to create new opportunity? When you take it from the individual level, to the family level, to the community level, then you understand the comprehensive, holistic impact it can have on individual wealth creation, community wealth creation, and national wealth creation. And in the budget, we will determine what are the next opportunities of wealth creation, how we're going to further support vulnerable groups, because We said that there must be cash transfer, but that transfer must be linked to specific outcome. And there are vulnerable groups that must be supported. Like I announced the fertilizer for the farmers, $2 billion. I announced the $35,000 grant. Outside of that, we're buying vehicles to help in moving persons living with disability. We're building special needs schools across the country. So these are investments that are important if we are going to build prosperity in every home. Because prosperity built in every home means investing in a vulnerable population so that they are not left out of the growth story.
Thank you, Mr. President. And this has been a most edifying discussion. And as we bring the curtains down, would you like to say any final words to the Guyanese citizens as we head into the deep end of the Christmas season?
Yeah, I want to say to the Guyanese citizens that as your president and as a government, we will continue to work hard in your interests. We will continue to do the best we can to build a society that is open, that is just, that is transparent, one in which every Guyanese can realize their aspiration. And I want want all of us to use this season as an opportunity to reinvigorate our spirit in love, in sharing love, in understanding our role in the community and our role in society, and being part of the positive change and the positive opportunity and the positive outlook for our country. To Guyanese at home and those in the diaspora, I wish them a happy holidays and God's richest blessings.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank
I'm
you.
Fariza Hanif. Take care.